We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
It's a Rose Blog Talk Radio.
Hello. For those that are on YouTube, you can see us. Eric is below. I'm up here. This is Italo, and Eric has been doing a lot of stuff since last year. He was doing Hollywood Fringe Festival. You were doing a show called Treason, and the show was amazing. I happened to see it. I think it wasn't, I don't know if it was during the festival or afterwards, but I got to see it, and it was just incredible, amazing. I think it was you got the Encore award, so I was able to see it on the Encore, I think. Anyways, welcome to the show, Eric. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Just hanging with my dog down in Orange County right now. Going to be back up in LA in a couple weeks, but just enjoying the release and excited to. It was a lot of fun to have the immediacy of theater in the Fringe. Like the audience would be right there, and then you could talk to them afterwards. So it felt so communal and just very involved, but. It feels nice to now take Treason to the next step, and now it's everywhere,
Right. So tell us about Treason, because for those that haven't seen it, you already have it on Amazon, on all these different platforms. I think on Apple as well. But let us know what's the story about and what happened since Fringe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the basic summary is it's a man that basically rules a self-proclaimed nation out of his own backyard, and he kind of just forces his family to go along with him. And the family resists. The daughter rebels. The son is a good soldier trying to take it all the way and go too far. And basically, the whole thing is kind of my way of talking about the way that Trump conducts himself and the way the modern GOP conducts themselves, and just the toxicity and the tactics of modern American politics without, I have no interest in making or watching a Michael Moore documentary. I have nothing against Michael Moore, but that's just not what I have interest in. It was an important enough thing I wanted to talk about, but I just had to find the right comic package to be able to hopefully, also reach across the aisle, right? I think if you're so aggressive with your messaging, it's harder to convince somebody that doesn't already support your position. But if I can come at somebody with a narrative rather than a lecture, I think sometimes that can be a little bit better of an approach. But so basically we had a great run at Fringe, and soon after I wrote a film script, and we did a fundraiser on Seed and Spark. Raised some money, got some more money from private investors, and then so Fringe was in June, and in November we were on set in Joshua Tree, and had an 11-day shoot, which was absolutely bonkers. Like, we had a 94-page script, and a lot of it was in the actual house, and the other locations were close by, like the church we used and the bar we used. They were all close to the central house, but we just had just a hell of a crew that just worked really quick. We were pretty light on our feet. We were pretty small, so we could just kind of, go scene to scene, and just great actors that were on point, and had a great time out in the desert getting weird with it. We came back, edited the movie, had something I could pitch to distributors by March or April, and got distribution and had a final product at early July is when we finished the final sound mix and the final color. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind couple of years. I'm very thankful to be done creating this project. It's just, now it exists. I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy with it. But I'm glad it's out of my hands for right now.
Right, right. And actually, yeah, because the Fringe Festival was a different experience. I think for you, I think it was your first theatrical production, if I'm not mistaken, and then going from the Fringe Festival now doing film. You kind of did it without even knowing about the pandemic and everything that was going to happen. You kind of did it the right way because you did it in the Fringe Festival last year, and then right as we are going into 2020, when was your production over and done with?
Just we shot in November, so we were done by like November 24th.
Perfect timing.
I'll tell you, it's not perfect time. I mean, you're right. Like production wise, we got it done under the deadline, but basically, I brought the film home in late November, and then spent 4 months in my apartment like a crazy hermit, just hammering out the edit. And I had the team from George was on the film with me, so Ryan was editing a bunch with me, and Henry and Miriam and Chase were over, and they were helping. And so I had team around me, and we'd have screenings all the time, but there was a lot of time of just me locked in my apartment editing and messing around with it. And then I finally came up for air. We locked picture in about early March, and then the quarantine started. So it's good timing for the movie, but for me personally, I was ready to just go get some oxygen in the world. But 2021.
Yeah, it's been, I think it's been difficult for everybody, especially for the artists, because I see a lot of artists now switching from the platform that we used to have, the theaters, and we had the audience, and we had networking, and we were out there speaking about our projects, and then this happens, right? So I think it's been difficult for everybody. And of course, the French was already canceled this year. And so what do we do in the meantime? Yeah, it's been crazy. But so the cast, because I remember the show, it was the family of four. It was I forget the names. It was Wilson, Grant Wilson, the wife, the son, and the daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had the neighbor. Did you have to keep the same amount of the cast, or do you expand on it a little bit more?
So we basically, I wanted to build out the world as much as I could to make it seem like a world, but still have an 11-day shoot. I think the final cast was 13 people maybe, so we added eight more parts. So the big addition is we added 4 scenes at the local bar. We have a scene where the wife goes to church and the pastor comes back later. We have a scene where the kids go into town, so we get to see them kind of interact with their peer group a little bit more. So, I think we were on location outside of the house, a couple days out of that shoot. So it's enough to get a sense that yes, there's a real world. It's not a bottle movie where you're just suffocating in this one space. We have a little more scope to it, but it's still fairly quick and low budget indie. So we didn't, for instance, if this isn't a $10 million movie, but if it was, I'd love to have a tank in there. I'd love to have higher grade, Grant Wilson just really going crazy with some explosions and just, I love to push the envelope to that regard, but we didn't have that option, so we just had to kind of portray that intent without going full crazy with the actual on-screen explosions and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, I think it's more about the psychological drama that's going on in my opinion, was inside the house, right? That was what your whole focus on the during the festival, and that's what I liked about it. It was a family unit, and you were basically right there inside their house and see their dynamics.
Hmm.
So of course, Hollywood, if you have a production, if you had X amount of money to expend, but I think I think your script back when I'm sure it's changed, but when I saw it, that was what was more the most interesting part was seeing the dynamic in the family. So yeah, sure you can add a tank later, uh, you know, planes flying by and all of that, but at the end, it's all about the story, right?
No, I think you're right. Like I think that would, sure, I love it, but I think it would do a disservice to the story because it is very much a character study. It's about the people, not the situation so much. But I on set we would talk sometimes of like we just talk about different flavors of how we're doing scenes, and like especially like the scenes where he's making his own propaganda videos in the backyard. Grant Wilson is. We would talk about how silly we could play it, right? Because he's a buffoon, right? We want to show that um, he's a goofball. He's not to be taken seriously, but he is to be taken seriously. There still needs to be a seriousness to him. There needs to be an edge. So we would talk sometimes like like this isn't quite a Will Ferrell movie. Like I could see us doing the Will Ferrell version of this, and no knock to Will Ferrell, one of my all-time favorite actors. But you're right. I mean, this isn't like for instance, Jack Black was going to make a movie in this vein 5 years ago or so with the director of Napoleon Dynamite. I think that version would have been a lot more slapstick and just kind of like big military antics and stuff. Again, not a knock to that style, just it's a different movie. Whereas this is not to be too highbrow, but it's more of like an indie drama with some fun satirical fixings on it to make it palatable. Like it's not. I keep trying to market it a little bit more comedically because I think that's what's going to draw people in. But I don't think it's as broad as some people might think it is based on the premise.
Right. Yeah, because it's hard to always try to put your project in a box. Like it's going to fit in this category, but then there's going to be a little bit more drama and more comedy. So it's hard to pinpoint. You just have to go see it. I mean, sometimes I don't like to just to know that I already know your project, but that's why I like to go see a movie without even like I saw this movie, Midsummer. I don't know if you saw it, and I was expecting nothing. Like when I saw it, I was like, okay, and I was just floored. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I don't even know if it's a horror movie, if it's a drama, like what is it? I don't know. It's just so confusing. But that's what I like about those movies that make you uncomfortable, make you feel uneasy, and yeah, it's an experience like in theater. Like you don't know what you're gonna expect with it from a French festival show. Um, when I went to see yours, I was like, damn, this is awesome. I don't know if you had any of the original cast, or was it a different cast altogether? Now
Uh,
that you,
so we had four of the five were returning. So all the three of the family members and the next door neighbor, but we got a new father, a new Grant Wilson.
right. So yeah, they were all great. So I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. So can some people can see it now? How do people go and find this out on? You just go to Amazon. You just go to any of those.
Yep, it's on Amazon, Apple, Google Play. I think it's on the Xbox Store, Vudu. So yeah, you just it's available to rent or buy now, and yeah, hope people dig it.
Right. So what's your intention to have it released before the elections?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah. The whole time that was the deadline. It was like as immediate as the Seed and Spark we were doing in September. It was like we need to do this right now. Like I need to write the script in July, just right now, because it has to be out before the election. And you know, I it's not to say that, and you know this, it's not so rooted in Trump. It's not so directly addressing Trump that it would be, you know, it wouldn't, it would still work next year. Like it's a story that's going to still resonate after Trump leaves office. But in an ideal world, I could use this project to swing some votes and make sure that we get Trump out of office. So for me personally, I thought that I could do the most good by getting this project out before the election. And, you know, potentially this is when it's going to have the most relevance. So if it were ever to kind of get viral and pick up some heat, this would be the best time for it. I mean, you have people literally committing treason. Like there's an attempt at starting a civil war today with the militia members in Michigan. Like that was part of their intent. Like this is treason is a thing that's happening, right? So you know, not to say that I want to make light of just or use a horrible situation just for viral marketing, but I think that this is a very complex and stressful, intense time that needs examination, and we need optimism, and we need to rally. We need to fight for American values and fight for ethical values and just the good in people and the good in each other. And most importantly, we just need to vote. So if I can sway any hearts or minds anywhere near getting Trump and the modern GOP at least benched for a couple years so they can, you know, figure out how to behave like adults again, that's really the goal.
Yeah, just watching the debates was just, it's so stressful to me. Like I can't even stand it. I'm like,
It's
why am I watching this?
I did debate in high school, and there's this part of me that's just like, this is breaking my heart. Like there's no logic. There's just, and oh my, it's every day too. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, you know, I made an explicitly political movie. Not like it's not overly political, but like it's there's a political take involved, and I'm fired up about it. Clearly, I'm passionate, but I really just want to get to the point that I don't have to think about politics on a daily basis, where we can just kind of put a good leader in charge, and you know, obviously we still need to keep people in check. We still need to be a gadfly to the state and just, you know, make sure that we're criticizing the government and making sure they're on the right path. And, you know, we can't drop our guard just because we think someone might be safe. But all that said, like, yeah, I kept an eye on Obama once a week, you know, with Trump twice a day. I got to check in and be like, oh shit, is he going to bomb a country today? Is he, you know, like I'm tired of being on this wild ride. Like I want normalcy.
It's very unstable, and having on this since way before the pandemic started, but having watching all these different things online and the conspiracies and all these different things, and and then watching the news, to me is very now I can see how it's all biased, right? And so it depends on who do you really trust, you know, as far as the news source. Do you believe them? Do you believe social media more? Who do you believe, you know? And there's always been, I kind of had to break away from it all. I don't know if it happened to you, but I had to break away from Facebook. It was just getting too political, too much for me. So, but I don't know. It's just, and the sad thing is that a political view can be swayed. You know, one day I can be a Democratic, the next day I can be like, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm a Republican. Maybe I'm independent. I don't know. You know, I'm always swaying back and forth. So my point is, how do you judge somebody when they're still not decided, right? So, well, how dare you say this about, the one candidate and not the other? Do you not see what Trump is doing? Do you not see what is being done, what is being said in the debates? So at the end of the day, we're all American, right? And so that's the sad part, that we're so divided nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, there's no ability to have a civil discourse, and there's no. It's at this point, I don't like it's the main problem in politics is the gamesmanship. It's not it's not trying to have the best outcome for the American people. It's trying to have the best outcome for the political party or for the political party's donors. So um, whether that's the need for a strong third party, sure, I agree with that. I don't know how we achieve that. Whether it's campaign finance reform, again, 100% I'm with it. I don't know how we get it done. I think regardless of party, there are some fundamental, just glaring, just fissures in American democracy that they need to be addressed. If you have a government that's not working for the people, what is it working for? Why are we following that government? And I'm not suggesting, anything insanely radical at this point, but I think we need to ask the question more often: how are they representing us? Is it in our best interest, the way that they're conducting themselves, the way that they're guiding our country? And if it isn't, I don't know why they deserve those jobs. And, again, I'm very strongly blue in this election cycle. I've been blue most of my life. If somebody convinces me, I'm not committed to one party. There's Democrats that I don't like. There's Republicans that I really like. I'm committed to justice. I'm committed to equality, to environmentalism, to just foundational issues that right now one party seems to be addressing better, and the other party seems to be addressing negatively consistently. So, either way, we need to be able to talk. We need to be able to sit down and say, here's my opinion, here's your opinion. Because that's the way we convince each other. That's the way we come to a compromise. That's the way that we make something together. And the longer we're just at this crazy battlefield of you're wrong, no, you're wrong, screw you. It's just, I don't want to live through a civil war. Not that it's going to get to that point immediately, but it's crazy to think about.
Right. It might, if the election goes one way or another, that might happen. So it's scary times. It's like a bubble that's about to burst, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be. I mean, I always think it's gonna be over by the time the election's done and over with, which is, I guess, in a month from now. But it's not gonna end, and so it's gonna be interesting to see that. To see what happens. But anyways, going back to Treason, because we can talk about politics any other day. What is the next platform is gonna be for your production?
For what's the next project I'm going to work on?
Yeah, because right now you cannot be going to promote the show. You cannot be doing film festivals, or can you? I don't know if they're still going.
Honestly, I think I should have. In hindsight, I think I probably should have. But in my head, I was like, we need to get out before the election. So if I have a finished product in March, there's no point to me to go to a film festival in July, because I need distribution before that, because it takes time for them to line everything up. So I just needed to go straight to the distributors.
Right.
That said, I think even with the distribution deal, festivals really help you, because people see the films, reviewers, there's press. It's just, you get a couple of laurels. I think that can really help promote a film. So in hindsight, I probably would have applied to some virtual festivals, And if the festivals had been in person, I definitely would have done it. Like our whole release strategy initially was we are going to do a tour of Q&As and screenings across America, focusing on swing states before the election. So, this is a drastically different release plan right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's you just got to adapt to the new reality, right? Like, so with the crew from George, Two Steps to the Left Productions, after we wrapped most of Treason post, we wrote a podcast together. So they've been recording that. I think Henry's almost done getting everything together with that, but it's like a kind of like a, I don't want to, I don't know what they've said or, but it's a comedy podcast. It's like a narrative, long form. I think it's like 8 or 10 episodes or something like that. And then I'm just, I'm focusing on writing. Like I've got a short that I wrote that's like a Western horror set in the like mid 1800s in Montana. I've got I'm writing a horror script for one of my directors of photography from Treason. He's going to shoot that. So that's been fun too. But I've been having this thought of like, well, I'd love to shoot something. I'd love to get back behind the camera soon and just make something new. But like, what do I make? Do I make, like write? Like this would be the perfect time to write. I don't know if you saw that movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
I didn't get to see it. I knew about it, but I didn't. I think it wasn't too. I was maybe too claustrophobic. I think.
But it's an hour and a half inside a coffin. Like this is the time for that idea. So I'd love to shoot something tomorrow if I could. I can't quite yet. I don't have the idea or the script. Also, just everything, the world in general. But it's the question of what's next is, I guess to me, it's also a question of what happens with Treason. Because in one world, Treason gets enough attention that a producer or a representative or something or studio can fund another movie that I can go even bigger budget and try some new stuff out. In another world, Treason does okay, and I make another movie myself, which would have to be lower budgeted and just kind of based off whatever we get from this. So, I'm just trying to stay creative and just generate as many ideas as possible and stay adaptable, see what happens, and be ready for anything.
Right. Well, yeah. Same with me. I'm still. I mean, so you never know what's going to happen. So I'm still waiting until the theaters open back up. I don't know if that's going to happen or not because. Hold on a second. 10 minutes. No, I don't want to upgrade. Sorry. This Zoom thing. All right, so we got 10 minutes. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. For me, it's been harder to transition to film or to other things. We were talking about it too, to have the new show on virtual theater platform. I just don't feel it right now. So in the meantime, I just have to do something else. So unfortunately, I haven't been writing either, but it's okay. I'm not so stressed anymore as I used to be.
And I think one of my writing teachers in college basically just told me to just process as much as possible, or like see as many movies, read as much, just do just experience as much as possible. And I feel like I always go in these cycles, right? I'm either reading like a book a day like a madman and watching a bunch of French New Wave movies back to back, or I'm writing a bunch. Sometimes it's fairly stable and balanced. Like I can watch a movie and write in the afternoon, or be a reasonable person. But I find more so I'm just in a period of media consumption or a period of output. So and I just got to try to balance those moods.
I mean, for me, it's more of a if I have a deadline. I know if I have a deadline, and I have to meet that deadline, then I get on it. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
right now, there's no deadline. There's no kind of like no point, in my opinion. But I know I'm just, I shouldn't be saying that because there is always someone to do, and I'm working on a project. But like if I don't have a, you know what I mean? I don't have a goal
Yep.
to set to by this time it has to be done. Like for me, it's kind of like, okay, so I'm still doing the podcast and I'm doing different things here and there creatively, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about it. And then the more time that it goes by is better too, because I always go back to it and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I can see how I can change this more. It's more of a clear mind at that point. I'm not so, because I was getting sick of it too. I was like, okay, I'm done with this script.
Oh yeah. You always reach that point with a project where you just get this tunnel vision where you just have no idea what you're looking at some point. You just, hey, you got to take 2 weeks off or a couple of months off or whatever it is, and just kind of. I have projects that I wrote years ago that I'm still in my head of like, I think there's something there. I'd love to go back to it, but just that moment hasn't clicked where I'm like, all right, now I'm ready with a fresh perspective. But yeah, you just got to let some ideas marinate.
Right. But I gotta say, congratulations on your project, because I'm kind of proud that one of the fringers got to do this, and I met you last year, and seeing you in that process, and now I'm seeing you on this process, it's upward, it's going up. So I'm really proud of your project, and it's one of the shows that I loved last year. One of the best shows that I saw at the Fringe Festival, and I'm really glad that because now you have this other platform. It can be reached nationwide, or I don't know if it's worldwide, but you can reach so many more people this way. So it's just the pros and cons. There's always pros and cons to switching it to a different platform.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Really appreciate that. And yeah, it's I love the theater performance, and frankly, I wouldn't have made the movie without doing the theater performance. Like, because I'd done movies when I was a kid, but I'd never directed a short film, much less a feature film. So,
Yeah.
Not only did doing it as a theater performance give me a lot of great feedback, it also just gave me the confidence in the cast, and just, that couldn't have made it happen without Fringe, without support from you and Matt Newman and the team from George. And I cast Pierce Minor from what was his play? No More Toys. He's
Great guy.
He's the sheriff.
Also, he is in your film, right?
Yep. So I couldn't have made this movie without the Fringe community. Like it really, and just the idea came from just standing at the curb outside of Stephanie Fury Theater, bullshitting over a cigarette, just being like, hey, what if? What would you do? How do we need to change this? And it directly led to this movie. So I'm really happy I found this great community in LA, honestly.
Right. So that's another great show, No More Toys.
Yep.
Maybe make it into a little. That's another great. It's very intense.
And that's all you need is a classroom or two. Like that's a bottle. Like you could film that now if you had the right location and the right cast. But yeah, we'll see what Pierce wants to do with it.
11 days. Well, that's crazy. But it must have been a ride, right? Those 11 days.
It was it was early. I think I wake up early anyways, but I was up at like 6, 7 pretty much every day. And I don't think we would shoot much past 12 hours. I think we're pretty good about keeping all the union standards and all that. But yeah, it was just boom, boom, boom. Like, 3 takes was probably the average per setup. If we went to 7, I felt weird about it. I was like, we're wasting daylight right here.
Yeah.
So, there's scenes I wish we could have lingered on a little bit longer and gotten a different color of performance, or maybe just, waited for the sun to hit just the right lighting, or so there's definitely concessions by having such a compressed period of time. But honestly, filming it, there was days that it's like, we have extra time. What are we going to do with these extra 2 hours to kill? Like, and part of it is just cockiness of young filmmakers that don't know better. But it was plenty of time. But looking back, it seems like an insane thing to do.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. We're going to wrap it up because we only have 2 minutes. So I do want to thank you, Eric, for coming in. I hope that I can have the cast next time, maybe, or whenever there's another project going on, give me a call. Let me know. I'll set it up. But anything else you want to tell the audience or whoever's listening?
Well, I mean, the next project would, we might be able to have the podcast with the George team, with Henry and Miriam and that crew. So I'll let you know about that. And, everyone can keep their eye out for that coming up. But other than that, I've got some projects that I'm working on. Nothing I can say is official or really like say is coming up or anything like that. But hope you can check out Treason. It's on digital right now, Amazon, Google, all those places. And yeah, it's a fun little movie about America, and hope people dig it.
And now a little preview of what you can see available now on all platforms. The movie Treason and the trailer that goes along with it. Once again, thank you, Eric DePriester, for allowing me to show this gem of yours, and looking forward to seeing it. And for those that are listening, you didn't see this coming.
Dessert, anyone? After we take Europe.
You guys are just a horde of commies. We defeated you once, we'll get you again.
Ukraine, defend yourself.
I'm Admiral Grant T. Wilson, the supreme leader of Gallipoli.
What are you doing with your hands?
I'm illustrating my point. I'm trying to connect with the audience.
I'm coming to you as a neighbor trying to work this out peacefully so we don't need to get the court involved.
Whose court? The Republic of Gallipoli is a sovereign nation. Well, maybe if your deadbeat friends can't respect our nation, they shouldn't be your friends.
Well, that kind of rules out everyone, except a few gun nuts and total weirdos.
Constitutionally speaking, I have a right to all military intelligence.
National emergency.
Emergency? What emergency?
That's classified too.
One step on my property, I've declared an act of war.
This is completely insane, like 1,000 steps too far.
We just want some tasteful explosions, maybe a symbol of the American threat, like a demon eagle.
Zombie Uncle Sam.
That's good. Oh, that's good. Can you do that?
Sure, that's one of the presets.